Hello and welcome to another episode of Cake Fight Presents The Making of Kaleidoscope. I'm writer, director, producer Paige Feldman, and this week, as every week, I'm taking you inside my process of making my debut feature film. We're going from idea to premiere in real time. So right now I am still relaxing and basking in the afterglow of having finished the first revision of Kaleidoscope. I cut 80 pages from that first draft, which is basically a whole feature film on its own. I went from 263 pages to 183, which I'm so proud of, but it wasn't easy. In fact, it was really difficult and kind of painful at times. So today, I want to talk about 3 things I do to take some of the sting out of cutting those pages from my script. Because while it hurt, it was so necessary. So I'm gonna roll those titles, and when we get back, I'll give you my secret salve. It sounded weird. Let's just roll the titles and I'll tell you all about it. So first off, this is not about how to cut. I have a video that I did a few weeks back that I'll link up here that is kind of about how to cut, where I showed you 3 different versions of the same scene. The first one is before editing, the second one is after I cut for length, and the third one is after I cut for length and rewrote to strengthen character. So that's a great resource for you. But I feel a little bit uncomfortable being super prescriptive about how to edit because every person's script is different, every person's circumstance is different. And maybe you don't need to cut for length as much as you need to edit and add some background. You know, if you do need an editor, I know a few great ones and I am happy to link them to you. If you want to comment below, I will send some recommendations your way. This video though is about getting over the emotional hurdle of cutting pages. Because let me tell you, of those 80 pages that I cut, I love so much of what I wrote. But I mean, when my script's 263 pages, it's necessary and I can't be precious with those words. I've learned a few things over the years, especially as somebody who I write long all the time. This is my cross to bear. I know some people write super short. I can't imagine that. I think it would be cool to come in under length at some point just to see what that's like, but I always have so much to say. I mean, maybe even too much to say at times. So this is the thing that I have to learn to deal with, and I think I'm an expert in that, and I think hopefully if you are in the same boat, or if this is your first time writing super long and you need to figure out a way to cut without breaking your own heart, hopefully I can help. Anyway, let's get right into it. Here are the 3 things that I do to help myself get over that emotional hurdle of cutting pages, get over that emotional barrier, and make it so that I can focus on doing what I need to do to cut my script down to size so that ultimately I'll have a stronger, clearer, better story, better film to come back to. So the first thing that I do, and this one is not groundbreaking, but it's a really helpful tool for me, is that if I really love a scene, I never delete it. I copy and paste it. So I have a document at all times for any script that I'm editing that's called Title of Script Extras. For this, it's Kaleidoscope Extras. And so if I have to cut a scene that I love, if I have to even cut a line of dialogue that I love, or one action line, I will mark it in my notebook when I'm doing my on-paper revisions as save and delete. And then when I get to that part, I cut it and then I paste it into the new document so that it's there. It's safe. If I want to go back to it, it still exists. So obviously I'm always saving as when I start new drafts. So the scene, the line, the action, it always exists in situ in the draft where it originated. But this extras thing it's just a nice bonus. It reminds me, yes, I love this scene. Yes, I love it so much. I want to keep it. And instead of deleting it, I'm putting it somewhere special, somewhere where it's really easy for me to look through and find it if I want to find it again. Now, 9 times out of 10, I never want to find it again. I appreciate that it exists. I'm doing my whole Marie Kondo, thank you for existing, thank you for your service, but I'm letting you go. Except instead of deleting, I just put it in another document, which probably is not very Marie Kondo of me. But it's okay because I'm just hoarding with megabytes, not like space in my apartment, though if you see my desk, you might kind of question that. Anyway, the document where you copy and paste things, it's not a novel idea at all. It's one that I got from other writers. I think I might have gotten it from my mom, who's a children's book author. She writes middle grade novels. They're awesome. You should check them out. She also has a YA novel coming out soon. You should also check that out. It's very cool. It's like a thriller. Anyway, it's not what this video is about. But this idea, it's widespread. It's really useful though, and it really helps me feel better about taking parts out of my script that I love because I know that they're in a special place and not just gone and forgotten. Next is that I remember that every idea, every character, every occurrence that doesn't make it into the final version of this script still exists in my head. It's still a valid idea and it can live elsewhere. This script or novel or short story, song, poem, whatever I'm writing, it's not the last one I ever will write. It's not the last one I ever can write. These ideas that I'm cutting, I am cutting because they are not right for the script that I am currently putting out. And because they're not right for that script, they will be right for something else. They can find a home somewhere else. And it's my job as a writer to help find them that home. This step is not just a mantra I tell myself, though I do remind myself of this if it is a particularly difficult thing to cut, like if I'm just completely deleting a character from a story, but it's not just a mantra. It's something that I put in action. I have on my notes app on my phone a list of characters, ideas, and lines that I am obsessed with, that I'm always looking for a new home with. And actually, I have another work in progress script right now that you'll probably learn about in a few weeks. There is an idea that I've had for a scene that I've had for about a decade now, that came from another thing that I wrote, and I have finally found a home for it in this work in progress. And in fact, it is the scene that leads to the pivotal Act 1 break, which is really cool because this scene, which is very simple, it's literally 2 characters eating ice cream together. I mean, at its core, there's more to that, but at its core, it's that super simple scene that I really love. And now I get to make it a reality because I've finally stumbled upon the idea where it fits into the narrative. I keep a list of all of these ideas. I also keep a folder, like a literal physical folder. Y'all know I love the physical media. Physical folder called Inspiration Articles. This folder contains articles that I've found, tweets that are interesting, pictures I've taken, lines I've written from other scripts, monologues I've written that have no place anywhere. I will print them out and I'll put them in this folder. And again, actually, one of the articles in this folder is also pivotal to this work in progress that I am working on. And I had that one for 5 years. I've had it since 2017. So I will find a home for everything. So these physical reminders, the list on my phone. I also have some Word documents and some old final draft documents that have little snippets of scripts and ideas. I'm able to go back and reference them whenever I want, and I know that I will find a home for them. And I have, as I'm telling you, found homes for a lot of them. Keep those lists. Print out those scenes if that's what you like. Do things to ensure that you can fall back to those ideas that you loved and help make them a reality in a future work. Because I would say in 90% of the cases, whatever you're working on now, not the last thing you're gonna work on. And the 10% is like dying, or some people just had one book in them. And that's okay too. If you just have this one thing and you love it, don't try to fit the kitchen sink into it. Maybe pass those ideas on to someone else. Speaking of not trying to fit the kitchen sink into something, which is advice I really should take better myself. Number 3, the third thing that I do to help make cutting all of these pages less emotionally painful is that I remember my why, like WHY, not the letter. My why being, why am I writing this specific script? What message am I hoping to get across? What theme am I exploring? What about this story is something that I need to share with the world? And why do I need to share it with the world? The story that I'm telling in every case has some sort of purpose, some greater idea that I want to communicate. And so if I want to communicate that idea, if that's the most important thing to me about the script, then I need to make sure that every scene pushes that idea forward, pushes the characters forward to understanding and coming to that conclusion, making that idea the central focus of the story. And if a scene is not doing that, if an interaction between character isn't doing it, then even if I love it, even if I think it's the best thing I've ever written, I mean, if I think it's the best thing I've ever written, like, well, no matter how wonderful I think it is, if it's not pushing the story in the direction of that theme that's the most important thing to me, the thing that I am writing the script to communicate, no matter how much I love it, it's not good writing. And that's really difficult for me to say and feel, but if it's not purposeful, then it's egotistical. It is just me enjoying the smell of my own funk. And you know what, guys, I sweat a lot. It's gross. I'm not super ladylike about that. I don't like my own funk. I don't want to smell it, and I know you don't want to smell it. So, sorry, I'm in a weird mood, you guys. So I want to keep this script and every story I write as clean and streamlined and to the point, to the thing that I am trying to say with my story, and keep it as close to that as possible. So for Kaleidoscope, my why, the theme that I want to talk about, is that it doesn't matter if you can change the past. If something bad happened to you, if you try to go back in the past, changing the past isn't going to do anything, because the past itself has already changed you and affected you and made you a different person. So the only way to get over trauma and tragedy is to move forward and work with what you know and find people who you cherish, who are working to fix their own mistakes and move forward right alongside you. That idea is central to me in Kaleidoscope. So if I'm really torn about whether I should cut something, I ask myself, how is it moving me towards the communication of that theme, of that why? And if it's not, then I delete it. And if I made a change, if I love it, then I'll make that change. It's helpful in cutting and also in rewriting itself. And all of that is difficult, but having the why here to anchor me and to help me make decisions about deleting lines and scenes and action, whatever, is so important, because ultimately getting rid of all of that chaff will help my story shine. Leaving with something more than just a great story is what makes movies stick with you. Or at least what makes them stick with me, that theme, that message. So I try to keep that at the forefront of my mind and remember what I felt like the last time I watched a movie that had a theme that really affected and stuck with me. Right now it's Everything Everywhere All at Once, which if y'all didn't watch my video about that, and you can figure out why. So those are the 3 things that I do to help make it less emotionally difficult to kill all my darlings. Not all of them, like a lot of them, especially in this case. If there's something that you do that helps you burst through those emotional barriers of rewriting and cutting your own words, please drop a comment below. I would love to hear more techniques for this, because no matter how often I do it, and like I said, I write long a lot, so I do it a lot, it never really gets easier. I just get more beaten down by the fact that I'm not going to be able to negotiate out of it with myself. Look forward to hearing your tricks, and tune in next week for more about the making of Kaleidoscope. Thanks for watching.